Hello, guys. And if you do love a Reddit story, why not consider hitting that subscribe, maybe that notification bell too. Today, our story from the user equivalent can 5,275, and it is called How Should I Organize for a Big Move? Story, personal write-in. Hi, I, 23 female. I am currently living with my boyfriend, 24 male, and we're in the process of moving out of our tiny apartment and moving in with my parents because of how much our rent is being raised this year. I'm aware that's a very risky move, but not why I'm writing this post. Since our apartment is so small, I only brought about 20% of all of my belongings when I moved in, like clothes, toiletries, my TV and my Switch, etc. Nothing of sentimental value, no decor, and I still have a lot of clothes at my parents' because of the lack of space in the apartment. I did not bring any furniture, since my boyfriend had already been living there for about 3 years. My boyfriend has 11 pieces of furniture we have to move out, 3 of which we're taking to the dump and keeping the rest. We're actively looking into getting a storage unit, because there's not enough room in my parents' basement for us to put all that furniture. Plus, they just completely reorganized the basement, and I'd feel bad messing it up entirely. My boyfriend is a big outdoorsman and owns several fishing rods, a bow and arrow for hunting, and a whole bunch of camping stuff we'll have to pack. We have until the end of the month to vacate, so I'm very overwhelmed by what we need to pack because he has so much more stuff than I do in the apartment, and we only have so much time to do everything. I also have to clear out a lot of my stuff I haven't used in my bedroom to make room for his stuff as well. We already have tons of boxes ready to use for the move. I'm just not sure where to begin with packing so much stuff. Does anyone have any tips on how to organize everything and how to plan everything? This is my first big move since I lived in my fully furnished dorms in college, but that is very different from vacating an apartment. I'm under a lot of stress right now, so any sort of advice will help. Thanks in advance. Comment 1 from user Too Anxious. I would get started as soon as possible. I would set up time to go to your parents and clean out your things and get things prepared to start moving. When I moved back home from an apartment, I did it in a span of multiple weeks. I would take a load and unpack that stuff, then repeat the following weekends. Then the final move-out weekend, you can use to move your daily necessities and bigger furniture. Comment 1 from user TinyWolf. 7,453. This is something I do when I have to move. Go to the dollar store and buy packing tape, paper towels, and coffee filters. Paper towels and coffee filters can be placed between dishes to help prevent breakage. The packing tape is self-explanatory. Take a deep breath and good luck. Update story, it is called I, 23 female, think my boyfriend, 24 male, might secretly hate me. How do I navigate this feeling? I'm sorry in advance if this ends up being a long post, but I am spiraling and I'd love to hear some input. I'm open to hearing all sides, but I'd love to hear some opinions from the male perspective. Paul and I have been together for just over a year. It's honestly felt like a fairy tale in the beginning. I want to make it clear that what I'm writing about today is my only grievance with him. He is an amazing person who has overcome a lot of trauma in his life. I don't want people to focus on how horrible of a boyfriend he may seem to the reader, because this is my only issue with him. He's so hardworking, ambitious, and caring, and I am so proud of how far he's come. I am seeking advice on how to move forward with this issue. I know some, not all people on Reddit can be pretty ruthless, so I wanted to put that out there and kindly ask for some grace. Our relationship happened very fast and I moved in after about 5 months. Back in January, our rent was raised to the point where we couldn't afford it, so my parents offered to move us in. Things have been decent for the most part, a little awkward at times, but I feel like Paul has changed over the last few weeks. The first weekend of March, I took a road trip for my friend's birthday. It was a girls' trip we had planned long before we learned about the rent increase and moved in with my parents. I felt horrible about leaving Paul alone with my parents for so long. I was gone Friday, Monday, and when I came home, Paul told me it was really weird being in my parents' house without me, and I can only imagine how uncomfortable he must have felt. My parents mean well, but they can be very overbearing at times. Half of me feels like this is where the shift started, other half is completely unsure. The whole week I was back, he was very lovey-dovey with me because we missed each other so much. We went out to sushi one day, went on a picnic the next, and had some really great one-on-one time together, something we hadn't had since before the move. It was a very stressful time, so we did not get out much. Last 2 weeks, he loves fly fishing and has spent the last 2 Saturdays out fishing with some of his buddies. He leaves at 6 a.m. and usually won't get home until about 3 or 4 p.m., and he's usually pretty beat at that point, so we just kind of hang low and relax. So that's left us Sunday as the only full day we have together. Yeah, we sometimes go to the gym during the week, but he wakes up at 5 a.m. for work, so he's dead tired by 7 or 8 p.m. Anyways, I'm not a fan of fly fishing, but I have no problem with him doing it. I'll admit that I'm afraid that fly fishing could be so high on his priority list, I'll be put on the back burner this summer. I've also noticed he's very easily irritable around me lately. Sometimes I'll say something that I wouldn't think would upset him, and then he gets kind of like, "Why would you say that?" Or, when I try to confront him with an issue I have, he'll either try to make it a joke, B, get super defensive, C, try to walk away from the conversation, which actually happened this morning. I don't want to go into the fine details, so if people really want to know, I'll add an edit later on at the end of this post. I was trying to be honest about something he does that bothers me, and he just kind of froze, kissed me on the forehead, and said, "Okay, bye." I immediately begged him not to go and started crying, and he still walked out. He had a half hour before he needed to be at work, and it's a 10-minute commute. We've run into this issue before where he's walked away from an argument, for lack of better term, but only once. Last time was far worse. I don't even remember what I said or did to upset him, but he was so angry, he drove off to the bar to drink without even talking to me. I made it very clear to him that was not an okay reaction to his anger, regardless of how he's feeling, and I wouldn't put up with it if it happened again. He's still at work as I write this and will get out in about 2 hours, but I wouldn't be surprised if he ends up at the bar after work. This time was different, though. I'll admit I'm at fault for even bringing it up as he was getting ready for work. I definitely shouldn't have brought it up at the ass crack of dawn when we were both half asleep, and I'm going to apologize to him for that. I should have waited till he got out of work. Still, I don't think his reaction and refusal to talk about it was justified. I have had horrible anxiety that I've struggled with my entire life. I've told Paul several times that when something is unresolved, I dwell on it all day until it gets resolved. I've told him I really hate confrontation, but when we have to do it, I like for us to air it out when we're in a more level-headed state, and be respectful. Paul is fully aware I don't like it when he walks away the way he did this morning, and how anxious it makes me feel. The fact that he still did, while I was actively in tears, made me feel like he doesn't respect or care about me. I realize this may be like an avoidant kind of style, not a psychologist, but I have a friend who is so, I have slight understanding. Or he needs time to think about what I said, but he could have told me that. After the last time, I told him that it's fine if he needs some space. Just tell me and remind me you still love me, so I don't immediately assume you're going to break up with me. We've also had several conversations about how important communicating effectively is, especially living under my parents' roof. We both agree it'll be the only way to keep our relationship healthy and maintain our sanity. Even the hard, uncomfortable, anger-inducing conversations need to be had, so we're both on the same page and happy. If you look at any old couple that's been together 50-plus years, they'll probably tell you they made it work by communicating. I don't even know how many times we've talked about this. I know he struggles with communicating his honest feelings sometimes due to his abusive upbringing, but he said he'd work on it. But I feel like he hasn't. I've thought about giving an ultimatum where if he walks out on a conversation like that again, we're done, but I know deep down that won't end well. Plus, I love him too much, and like I said, this is his one flaw in my eyes. For now, I have a full list of what I want to say to him because the best way for me to get all my thoughts out is in writing. When he gets home from work, I'm going to ask him if he'd like some time to do the same for me, and then we'll talk. Crazy? Probably. But I get so anxious trying to talk about my feelings in the moment that I leave so many important details out. So now, I need to know, have Paul and I joined the TikTok trend of boyfriends hating their girlfriends, or do we just need to have a real honest conversation about our communication? Thank you for watching. Like and subscribe to the channel. See you again.